Queen Gayashi. Private Paula. Fight!
Oh, there, and there. Ow! Hit me! Oh, I'm sorry. The bleeding, darling?
Is your PC a sissy? Get a tough one. The high-performance Medion Eraser Gamer PC and the new Medion Eraser Gamer Notebook. Powerful, innovative, based on the ultimate Smart Performance 2010 Intel Core processors. All you need for a fantastic gaming experience. Medion Eraser. Most powerful gaming machines.
There we go. Welcome one and all, ladies and gentlemen, to a KaosTV production here. I am Martin, aka Mumbles, probably better known from GLHF, and also, well, what can we say, Lowland Lions. Yeah, here, we're going to be bringing you guys a bit of a new thing here for KaosTV. We're going to bring you guys some Starcraft 2 action, of course, my game of choice, currently. We're going to be starting off with the Zotac Cup game here between Tarson and Sue. This is a semi-final game of last Sunday. We're going to be doing a bit of replay casting, so I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll go right into the game here. And there we go, we see Tarson right here, spawning in the top left corner. Of course, this map is Teldrum Altar, the GSDL version. Meanwhile, on the cross positions, as previously was said, Sue spawning here as the blue Protoss. So we got both these guys exchanging the pleasantries, the GLHFs going out. Always good times. And yep, you get to see the new production tab with the 1.3 patch. Isn't it beautiful? You know, never mind the infestors. I think Casters got the real buff with this last patch. So this is a bit of a longer game. I can tell you guys that much. And that's why it's probably more interesting. I think you know, this is a game I've already casted once. I think this is a game that you guys are gonna love pretty much. You've got a standard 9 pylon here going down for a Sue, and Tarson. A little bit of smack talk there with Sue. Apparently one of the streamers had to drop. You know, the usual Battle.net issues. Thank you so much for the beautiful Battle.net 0.2 support, Blizzard. Regardless, you know, thankfully due to the beauty of replays, we don't have to deal with all that nonsense. That said, we do have standard openings here. I'm assuming that 12 racks is going to go down very shortly. There we go, the 12 racks for Tarson. Of course, Tarson representing Team Millennium. It's been a while since he joined that team. I actually got to see him at Maxland, which was a week and a half ago in France. So yeah, I got to meet the guy again. It was always good to see him. That said, Sue is a player I'm not very familiar with, but you know, keep your eye out on this guy. He's definitely got game. You do see the gas here going down after the standard gate timing, and of course, you know, cross position on a map like this. Well, map is always cross position. It takes a little while for the action to get started, but no worries, no worries. Once it does get started, it'll be intense. I promise you that much. Second pylon here going down for Sue. Nothing too funky to report quite yet. Right away, we have the orbital starting for Tarson. Of course, after the racks, you don't want to let your SCV finish. If you have an SCV going, if you've been doing it right, so to speak, you can have an SCV at about half done, maybe to 3/4 done. You don't want to have that guy actually done. You probably don't want to start him in the first place. Getting the overcommand right away is always the better economy. So take note. 7 score going down for Sue, of course. Gate Cyber. Honestly, we haven't seen many 2-gate openings unless it's like a proxy 2-gate. Even since pretty much the Zealot nerf. Second gas here going down for Sue. And meanwhile, it looks like Tarson is going to open up with a factory and a second gas at 20. So he's going to go for something reasonably gas heavy. Probably going to be a 1-1-1 build. And there we go. Both chrono boost on the Stalker and on that cybernetic score, so he's been stacking that up for just a little bit. Not dedicating all his chrono boost to that economy. Seth wants to make sure his warp gate tech gets out in time. We do see an add-on here, reactor onto the barracks. It means that Tarson is hoping to get a lot of Marines out. He might be a bit more aggressive than initially, you might think. We do have the starport there going down and the Hellion starting as well. That could mean that, we see an add-on here on the factory, which could be a swap. Actually, fun fact, if you start that Hellion, as soon as you start your starport and then start the tech lab on the factory, it'll be done exactly at the right time for the swap. Perfectly timed, most easy thing in the world. And there we go, we see fast expand here for Sue on 1 gate. So this is a very, very greedy strategy, which in many situations you can get away with, because let's look at the map. Getting across the map takes a long time. We do have some Marines here moving out onto the ramp. Tarzan wants to block this ramp, of course, wants to deny any kind of scout, any kind of intel. And there we go, the swap indeed going down as predicted, and we do see him look at that add-on. He's like, do I want to cloak? Do I want to cloak? Do I want to cloak? That is a question. Yes, he does. So the Banshee coming out, cloak also underway. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we know that Sue needs to get some production out. So, making a second gate is more than natural. Going for the robotics facility as well, I don't know if I'm too big of a fan of that. I would have liked to see a third gate first because of this fast expand. Meanwhile, do see a Hellion here sneaking on in. Going to get a lot of scouting information. Actually spots the main transfer and spots exactly what his opponent is up to. He's even going to be able to get a little bit of rest here. See how many shots he actually gets off. Gets a few shots off, but he's not going to accomplish too much. Shut down by the Stalker. That does mean that Tarzan is very well aware what Sue is up to, and of course, going with a very quick Banshee is a perfect counter to any kind of fast expand build. Gives you a lot of harass options. We also see the tanks following this up, so Tarzan is going to look for something Mac heavy. Afterwards, he's going to keep with something very gas heavy. Means that your expansion, is going to be considerably delayed because of this. Meanwhile, Cloak is still going. You want to not lose this first Banshee. It is crucial not to lose this first Banshee until Cloak is done. So let's see what he can actually get done. Gets one kill there, and probes, and still no reaction by Sue here. Now pulling the probes, but not sending the Banshee, the Stalkers in to kill the Banshee. Up to 4 kills now. Plenty of Stalkers to deal with this. And there we go. Tarzan is forced to retreat once the Stalkers unload onto him. Even a little bit greedy here, going after the pylon, but that's not going to do too much. And now it looks like he's actually looking to go after the main. And there we go. There we have that cloak going down. We see that there is absolutely an observer out somewhere, but not in the right position. There we see the observer now over the middle line. The robotics bay now going down. So he wants to go Colossus after the fast expand. It means he's still on 2 gate. This is a very risky build. If you go for a fast expand build, you have to understand that you have to get a lot of army out to catch up. You've been playing very greedy for a bit. You need to make up and actually get enough army out. Now we do see that he has 2 observers out. Observer over the middle line as the natural as well. So yeah, he's still is playing a little bit greedy here by going for that fast expand and then teching. Of course, teching also means that you're gonna have less food out. And there we go. So we do have Tarzan now moving out onto the map. He knows exactly what his opponent is up to. He knows his opponent went for something tech heavy and did not go for that instant army boost. One of the features of this map is, of course, that you have this nice little area. Of course, there is no high ground advantage as much as there was in Starcraft. It is very different than in Breed War. As long as you have a high ground sight now, you can do full damage. And there we go, siege shelling onto that pylon, and the pylon goes down almost instantly. Massive harass now onto the gas, and the Banshee's just floating on in. Banshee now, of course, covered by those by the tank line. And taking out the gas first. Interesting choice to go for the gas. Not my choice. Meanwhile, of course, let's look at what Sue actually has going on. He is going for that Colossi. He's hoping to get that out. He's got a little bit of a Protoss death ball going on, but not too much. So already we see quite a deviation in the food counts. We're going to see actually about a 10 food difference this early on. And the expansion now under a lot of fire by the Banshees. The Banshees are running low on energy, so that is something that Tarzan needs to be aware of. And the Bio now moving on in with that medevac. Still shelling the natural, and the natural gets taken down for Sue. Looking good so far as Tarzan. Now Tarzan could move in here to actually go for the killing blow. He's 10 food ahead. He doesn't have that much to worry about. His opponent is food capped right now. Can't produce much army. But instead he decides to bunker up here and now retreats. This is a decision which I don't really agree with. I think it's very awkward for Tarzan now to salvage the bunkers. He's going to finish this one and salvage this as well, I'm sure. Instead of being a bit more aggressive, the gateway units are not coming out, but Tarzan had more than enough units to actually deal with them. I'm sure we'll see his salvage on his bunker as well. Assuming the SCV was just in time finishing that. Took one for the cost. And the Banshee now getting caught. Oh, bit of a blunder there. Misrallied Banshees by Tarzan. Look at Sue now. Sue is trying to sneak an expansion here at the 3 o'clock, as well as rebuilding his natural. So he's actually going to double expand right now. under the aggression. Normally you'd expect a player to instantly make a lot of army and try to counter push just to see if they can get anything done, but not the case. Sue also adding 2 Stargates. The question is Starson aware of any of this going on? Probably not, but you see him scanning there to take out the observer. Nope, he has no idea that these Stargates are coming up. Nor that either expansion is coming up. So honestly, see, Tarson now playing very defensive after his early aggression. Wants to safely expand, but really, I think giving a bit too much away here. You see second factory here going down, as well as the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade for those Hellions. Of course, Blue Flame Hellions, awesome. Awesome against any probe line, pretty much, any light units. They do well against Zealots, but definitely the probe murderers. But you see this Banshee right now, and these Banshees are actually scouting along the top side of the map, and they are going to find this expansion right here. Yep, spots this hidden third of 2. So the complete surprise element is gone. And suddenly you think, well, Tarson must be in great shape right now. Finishes off the cannon. And going after the pylon. Shouldn't food cap his opponent this time around. Regardless, a few food pylons means that there's no more warpins coming in. The Stalker's just wandering by instead. And a single Viking here, apparently misrallied as well. Let's actually take a look at the rally point for this starport. Yes, that is misrallied. Definitely a little bit of a mistake. A little bit sloppy by Tarson. Regardless, he's more focused on his mecha right now. Wants to get the natural up. Starting a second gas and putting it down. There we go. I'm sure we'll see the orbital come down very shortly. As soon as he can actually afford it. Seems he's floating gas a little bit. This is unorthodox, to say the least, for a Terran player at this stage of the game. Meanwhile, we do see more and more Stalkers now being produced, and the Colossi count for Sue is actually finally starting to become a little frightful. Of course, the funny thing that's going on at the same time, the Phoenixes are coming up as well. So very gas-heavy build for Sue. And he's doing this off, of course, 3 base. Really should consider using these these assimilators as well. There we see the orbital indeed going down as predicted. And engineering bay going down, so we can see some turrets maybe, and of course the upgrades for the bio. Switch back to that production tab. And +1 weapons now going down for the Protoss player for Sue. Really with the Colossi, you want to get that +2 out. They do so much damage. They melt bio. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Tarson is going for that heavy marine composition. He's getting some tanks in there as well. He's got the medevac out, the Banshees, and a single, or actually a double Viking. Double Viking all the way. A few Marauders in there just for flavor. So a very varied army composition for Tarson, but also for his opponent. We do see more and more Hellions now being pushed out. I'm actually waiting for Stim to go down. I'm surprised it hasn't yet. We do see right now a scan going down again just to take down the observer. Apparently Tarson feels his privacy was invaded. Still hanging back here though. Meanwhile, his opponent is looking for a 4th base already. So Tarson really not being as aggressive as he could have been. We do see some Hellions now coming out. Maybe do some harassment. Are going to pass by these Phoenixes. So oh, Sue probably knows they're coming. Oh, and they're going to get hunted down. There we go. Double liftoff. And Tarson donating some units to Ire. And the Banshees are also out. You got to be careful with your Banshees. Once those Phoenixes are out, of course, they're pretty much an endangered species. Meanwhile, a little bit of a drop going down. 2 tanks dropping onto this cliff. The high ground, of course, is going to make it so it's very hard for Sue to defend here. Shelling into the middle line, killing off one. Killing off a few probes, but not doing too much. But he has free range onto this cannon. But of course, no anti-air here. And ouch, the Phoenixes make short work of this. Really, this is why you want to have an SCV or some Marines, preferably both, with a tank drop like that. Allows you to build that turret, allows your Marines to actually have some anti-air capability. So, you know, it means your drop is a little harder to pick off. You know, we do see that Sue is still punching out those Phoenixes. Meanwhile, the Colossi count slowly up to 4, but you know, it's not that much at this stage of the game. Can still considerable, and we see some Immortals come out as well. That's interesting to note. Second robotics coming out. Actually, a third robotics already. And the Twilight Council as well. So Sue, who's been harassed, you know, from the start of this game, is just macroing up and saying, hey, you know, if you don't finish me, I'll just macro up some more. We do see that vehicle planing is going down after that +1 vehicle weapons is already done. The Coast Academy also going down, so we're going to see some EMP in the near future as well. That never gets old. Of course, EMP was nerfed here. Not the big a deal, yo, in this matchup. Honestly, the EMP nerf is something that, you know, some people are like, oh my god, this is going to make a huge difference. But really, when are you going to have that much energy that it's going to actually matter? We do see the Banshees now going for a little bit of harassment here. They are actually in range of the cannon, though. Tarzan really could have done a bit better there, keeping his Banshees a little lower, outside of the range of that photo cannon. You have to recall, of course, the photon cannon gives more sight than it does damage. And there we go. The Hellions now frying a lot of these probes. The probes bunching up. Massive damage being done. Actually going after the Hellion. That's not going to do much. Oh my god. Only a few probes left here. So now that is why you get that blue flame upgrade on the Hellions. They do so much damage against the workers. Sue now expanding again, and the Banshees finds it. Banshee, meanwhile, the hero Banshee up to 12 kills. It's going to have to wait for an observer to get there. Or force a cancel even. You wouldn't expect a Banshee to actually be able to cancel a Nexus on its own. Just because of the rate it actually builds that. Now more Hellions coming in the back as well. Meanwhile, back in the base, we do see that Thors are coming out. And the third is getting, well, getting its refineries up. Another factory going down, and there is just a massive amount of factories. It's kind of like Goody style, pretty much. He does love his mech. And there we see the Hellions once again going in for the Rast here. There is one Stalker, and the cannons, of course, there to defend. The second Stalker actually out there as well, as I'm in Eye Strain of Vision right now. We see, oh, some damage being done, considerable damage done. It's definitely worth his investment. What was it, if it was as much as Tarzan would have hoped is the question. We do see Tarzan right now. It's hitting this this fifth as well, but there's no probes there yet. And Hellion damage against Nexus, Hellion damage against any kind of building is kind of inconsequential. We see Blink now going down here for Sue as well. It's interesting to note. And vehicle weapons level 2, as well as the Mobis reactor going down for Tarzan. Now look at that. We also have a fleet beacon going down here. That's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to see some carriers or motherships? Is that a plural? Can you say motherships? Well, we'll just pretend. If it's not a word, it is now. We do have the Dark Shrine there indeed going down as well. So we might see some DTs as well. My. He's completing his tech 3. Wants to get a little bit of everything. Observer coming out there and just getting shut down again. I'm assuming that was an observer there getting shut down. And we do see Hellions moving out once more. And Sue expanding again. So while this is going on, you know, while Tarzan was hugely ahead in the early game, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6th base coming up already for Sue. He's just getting massively out-macroed. And look at that. We've got carriers coming up here for Sue. That's not a unit you see very often. He's also getting the Graviton Catapult upgrade for those carriers. Not a unit you see very often because, of course, the Vikings. And there we go. Tarzan trying to hit this, I don't know, how do we call it? His 5th expansion, I guess. And doing a little bit of damage, but not too much. He clears out whatever probe is there, but really there wasn't many probes there to begin with. Sue has more than a generous amount of expansions to mine from. At least it is a 6th expansion. Right now a small force of Marines going after that, but the DTs warp on in. Is there going to be a scan there for Tarzan? Tarzan, no, not scanning, losing all the Marines there to the DTs warping in. Good call there by Sue to warp those in there. Definitely making it worth it. And oh, a pack of Hellions getting caught in the middle of nowhere by the Phoenixes. A single Hellion, just actually double Hellion now, being used as scout here. And we have a barracks here, just deciding to land above the base of Sue. So do a scan here going down so we can actually see what kind of defenses are in place as the Hellions now move on in. Oh, massive damage there with the first volley of, or the first few flames coming out. Afterwards, you know, the shots afterwards did not do that much damage, but definitely worthwhile. Look at that, Rio's cloak, personal cloak going down for the Ghost. It's interesting to note. And we got the air weapons being upgraded. You know, we're up to 4 Stargates. But you got to think that, yeah, with all this out, the Protoss opponent, the Protoss player, Sue, he must be getting max. We do see that there is a lot of Colossi out, as well as the Phoenixes there for air cover. And of course, we know there's Colossi out on the map as well. The Immortals, also a lot of them, so he must be nearing food cap. Let's look at the upgrades. Meanwhile, we do see a 0-0 on the bio still, and no stim for Tarson. So he's really focusing on that mech here. Meanwhile, on the mech, we see 2-1 actually, of course, and level 3 weapons already going down. And look at that Viking count. That Viking count is pretty scary for Sue. His carriers need to be very careful when engaging here. Meanwhile, this barracks has just been sitting here with a tech lab for quite a while. Apparently quite comfy. Tarson is just moving his main force in, trying to kill off what looks like that expansion. Well, setting the siege line up a bit defensively here. He wants to cut off the main army from that expansion, and Sue is going to catch him at an awkward angle here. The tanks in the back are really out of range. Right now, massive damage going down, massive battle. A lot of these Marines are going to be able to kill off a lot of these interceptors because they're a good counter, but they're melting to the Colossi. There are a few Thors out there as well, doing considerable damage to the carriers, but the carriers seem to be coming over the top with the help of these Phoenixes. The Phoenixes are just cleaning up the Vikings. Now the tank's getting lifted off, and Tarson is going to be in a bit of trouble. How is he going to recover from this? He's going to lose a lot of the tanks here if he doesn't move them out right away. Phoenix is lifting off whatever they can, and the carrier is just unloading into them. Meanwhile, look at that. We have a nuke coming up for Tarson. It's an interesting note, as he is under retreat right now. Oh, we do have a ghost here. Ghost up on the cliff, and a nuke underway. Oh, God. Now, DT is sneaking in for Sue. Meanwhile, still more tanks being picked off, by the way. The carrier's now getting a bit too far out front. I'm not sure whether that's a good decision to go with. Cloak now going down on this cloak, on this ghost. And oh my God, you guys can hear it as well. Yes, just as I thought. The nuke going down here on the expansion. But meanwhile, the carrier is moving in onto the natural of Tarson. No evacuation, no! Oh, massive damage done by the nuke there. But look at what Sue is doing in the meanwhile. Scaling off a lot of these workers. He's eating turret here. Really needs to take out those turrets. The Vikings still getting picked off by the Phoenixes. It looks like Sue is going to have to retreat here. He can't keep this pressure up. So at a time like this, it is important to note the bottom line. We do see that, wow, more harassment by the Ghost here. Killing off whatever he can. We do see 38, actually 40 SCVs out right now for Tarson. Meanwhile, his opponent is at 58 probes. So considerable econ lead. Then again, no, let's not underestimate the power of the mule. But you have to look. Tarson now is almost getting mined out at his third. Almost mined out as natural as well. It's probably mined out as main. Yep, quite mined out. So he has to get this expansion up. Oh, look, he actually does have this expansion up. And the expansion was up under heavy fire, so at least Sue knows about it. That expansion is going to be crucial here for Tarson. If he can't keep that up, then he's going to be in a spot of trouble. But look at that, Sue already V-macroed everything. Oh, nice EMP there. Money EMP on the Phoenixes. He's trying to get something done there now, going after the Vikings, but the carriers are coming in, as well as the Colossi. It's this massive Colossus, well, pretty much massive army. This massive army of massive units, let's put it that way. Now going after the natural of Tarson. You know, Tarson is looking fine in the econ state, but can he really do much of anything to actually defend against this? The carriers are just doing so much damage here. The Colossi also need their fair share, just making sure that there's not a lot of Marines out. As soon as those Marines come out, of course they are going to get melted. Now, it looks like Sue was actually going to be able to push in after the production right here. Is there anything that Tarson can really do to come back from here? You got to wonder. He's got just a few Vikings out there. That's not nearly enough to deal with this. Now, oh my God, is Sue actually going to come up on top after this map? You see that Tarson right now is trying to do what he can, but oh, all his production is just getting demolished. Sue doing some massive damage here. And I don't know what Tarson can really do. Tarson is microing his Vikings as well as they can. You know, you can micro Vikings against the carriers all day, but he simply cannot get enough damage output for it to really matter. So he was just going to town here. He's having a Protoss field day pretty much. Is going to lose a carrier here, but now catching up to the Vikings as well. So the Vikings now down, and it looks like this is going to be, yes, good game is called by Tarzan. He's going to GG out here, and I gotta say, a beautiful game played by both these guys. Starts with the early aggression, making it happen for himself, but then just decided to back off and let his Protoss opponent macro up. And, well, if you let a Protoss macro up, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get that used Protoss death ball, and you gotta say, an exceptional Protoss death ball, this time with carriers, which you don't see much in a PvP matchup. That said, I'm Martin, aka Mumbles, representing, well, KaosTV here. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast. We'll hopefully do more of these in the future, so stay tuned for that.
Queen Gayashi. Private Paula. Fight!
Oh, there, and there, and there. Ow! Hit me! Oh, I'm sorry, the bleeding darling.
Is your PC a sissy? Get a tough one. The high-performance Medion Eraser Gamer PC and the new Medion Eraser Gamer Notebook. Powerful, innovative, based on the ultimate smart performance 2010 Intel Core processors. All you need for a fantastic gaming experience. Medion Eraser, most powerful gaming machines.